This presentation is about the Greek weightlifting scandal that erupted in Greece in 2008, how the media, both Greek and international, dealt with the story, and how the different stakeholders involved handled the crisis. Crises often arise in all types of organizations, so it is safe to assume that a sport organization is not by any means an exception. When this type of situation arises, the organization is called to face it and all of its consequences in order to contain the problem and minimize the damage. But what is a crisis? According to Pearson and Clare, an organizational crisis is a low probability, high impact event that threatens the viability of the organization and is characterized by ambiguity of cause, effect, and means of resolution, as well as by a belief that decision must be made swiftly. Pearson and Clare also stated that crises are often ambiguous, have a low probability of occurring, require an immediate response, are often a surprise to the member of the organization, and require a decision that will have positive or negative results. Um, Another element of crisis is that it is happening suddenly and can be spread really quickly. Weightlifting entered the houses of the Greeks thanks to the TV and medals in consecutive competition at all levels, from the Mediterranean Games up to the Olympics during 1990 and 2000, with Christos Iakovou as a coach. He led the national team in the first place in the standings of the World Championships twice in 1998 and 1999. Greece also finished first in medals at the Olympic Games in Atlanta. Pyrrhos Dimas, Valerios Leonidas, Leonidas Ampanis, Kachi Kachiasvili, George J. Lillis were some of the protagonists of this dream team. Out of the 68 medals conquered until 2004, 66 came under the instructions of Christos Iakovou, and the remaining two he won them himself as an athlete. Greece was excluded from the weightlifting competition at the Beijing Olympics after 11 members of the national squad, 5 men and 6 women, tested positive for banned substances. The results of the surprise out of competition tests, which were conducted under the auspices of the World Anti-Doping Agency, were made public on April 4, 2008, and resulted in the immediate suspension of the athletes involved, as well as the national coach Christos Iakovou. The team also had to withdraw from the European Championship, which began in Italy on April 11. Iakovou maintains that a Chinese supplier, which he had used since last year, mistakenly sent a tainted batch of diet supplements to Greece. He insisted that he had informed the Greek Weightlifting Federation (GWF) that his weightlifters were using the supplements. However, the Federation Secretary Vasilis Gerakaris sought to distance the Federation from the scandal and point the finger of blame at the coach. Prior to the incident, the Greek media promoted the Greek weightlifting team's ability and ethos. The Olympic Games medalists had been a bright example for future generations and undoubtedly were a promotion of their country. The coach was their loving father that led them on their way to success. During the investigation, the media became evasive and judgmental. It was quite logical though, since everything had been uncovered. The case needed to be closed as swiftly, efficiently, and quietly as possible. Not only the athletes but also the GWF and subsequently Greece was on the spotlight of the world with the most negative meaning of the term. Christos Yakov, the coach, became a detestable person because he hurt the organization, the athletes, and the country reputation, given the fact that its top athletes were suspended not only from the European Championship in Italy, but also from the Olympic Games 2010 in Beijing. A vast blow given that the Olympic Games originated from Greece. Only after the issue was addressed and resolved did the media give a chance to Iakovou to clear his reputation, which he did quite efficiently since his argument that the company admitted it was her fault was valid. A case of this magnitude could not go unnoticed by international media such as ESPN and BBC, especially when occurring on the eve of such great events. Originally, the media would speak with the utmost respect about the federation, as it has produced high quality athletes over the years and quite a few medalists. Nevertheless, there are always a few that regarded Greece's success as random, always suspecting it of foul play. However, these accusations were random as they weren't based on facts but rather on innuendo, so they didn't get much of attention. With the outbreak of the scandal, however, not only did the foreign media waste an opportunity to be judgmental, but they also found ground to support their older accusations. After the ban was lifted and the athletes returned to action, one would think that no one would bother to speak of this again. But they were wrong because Greece had given them the cause they need to keep up the wild stories when the next Olympics occurred. When the crisis occurred, and due to many stakeholders involved, everyone was trying to save himself from the GWF and the Deputy Ministry of Sports and Athletes and the coach involved. It is evident that there was no common line on the statements, and the GWF tried at first to put the blame on the coach, Christos Iakovou, by suspending him. According to William Benoit, there are some restoration strategies when an organization or an individual faces a crisis. Image is essential to all kinds of organizations. The Federation at first tried to scapegoat the situation, claiming that Christos Iakovou made all the drug orders and they didn't know anything. For this reason, they suspended him and made him resign as the head coach of the national team. Furthermore, they tried to reduce offensiveness with the method of bolstering. GWF tried to remind people, mainly in Greece, of the past good moments that the Greek weightlifting team offered and the medals won in previous games. For this particular reason, they used Pyros Dimas, maybe the most famous athlete of the previous successful generation, and the country's flag bearer for the opening ceremony of Atlanta's Olympic Games to protect the image of the federation and stress the good threats. On the other hand, Christos Iakovou used the method of denial as he denied that he provided his athletes with prohibited substances. Members of the government also used the method of bolstering and asked not to continue the previous medals with not to confuse the previous medals with doping, and cited the example of Emil Zapotek, who a few decades ago won 3 gold medals in track and field, and no one has accomplished something like that to this day, despite the advancement of scientific support. 2 days after the revelation of the doping scandal, Ospur Biotechnology, the company that sent the substances, sent an email saying that I'm very sorry for the order that my new colleague arranged. She was confused with your order you made in early February and made a terrible mistake. She had to put in your order pure L-tyrosine and instead you were sent a mixture of L-tyrosine with something else together, which is used only for research purposes. We apologize for this situation. I will recall the product and send you back your L-tyrosine. I'll send you the data of the transfer as soon as possible. Sincerely, Su Lee. The email that was sent from Spur Biotechnology seems to bolster the claims of the coach. Although the team was banned from the European Championship in Italy and the Olympic Games in Beijing, and all the 11 athletes were suspended for 2 years, after almost 6 years the Greek justice cleared all athletes and the coach of any accusations. They accepted the defendants' claims of being completely ignorant of any illegal substances. The prosecutor accepted that it was indeed the wrong badge, and said that the team was in the eye of the hurricane in that moment. People in Greece and around the world didn't show any sympathy for the decision of the court, maybe due to Katerina Thano and Kostas Kenteris when they skipped a doping test during the Olympic Games in Athens. To conclude, nobody knows what exactly happened in this case, but the fact that everyone was trying to save himself was too suspicious.